We activate the phone lines so you can interact with the drive, Doctor. We've dealt with a few issues the past couple of months. And I'm sure maybe there are certain questions that you have that went unanswered. You can call us this afternoon, 0302-216-541. The Drive Doctor is here, Dr. Yaw Osafo. Hello, Doc.
Hi, Kwame.
Hi, how are you?
I'm feeling very, very South African
no,
today.
Is it? Saubona.
Kwame, you know when we were young, it was, what, Yvonne Chaka Chaka?
Yeah, Yvonne Chaka Chaka.
Yes. That's the only one that I remember.
Oh, is it?
Back then,
Right.
Some African beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to play that song for
they
you.
They really know how to sing, during the apartheid era and all of that.
Absolutely.
The demo was always songs and dance and all that. I think they've carried, that.
Absolutely.
That's
and the music has a lot of soul. I mean, not the Amapiano ones lately. but the Amapiano ones are more like dance and groove and whatnot. But when they really sing, they sing.
And they do gospel very well as well and all of that. You know. So, it's good. Kwame, it's good to be here and good afternoon to all our listeners. It's another Wednesday. My escape from the drudgery of my life in the hospital. So, yes, always look forward to Wednesday afternoons. Kwame, today is open clinic.
Absolutely.
It looks like this year, most of the time we don't get enough time to open the phone lines.
Yes.
Because we've had very, very exciting topics to talk about. I mean, this year from the gunpowder producing vapor to putting together a health plan.
Yes.
For the year. And so on and so forth. I mean, yesterday on the Super Morning Show, for example, we had the opportunity to talk about the preventative health policy that the new head of the National Health Insurance Scheme wants to push, forward. So we tend to do traditionally more curative than preventative health. And that ends up costing not only the individual but the nation a lot more money. So we've talked about that. I've talked about newborn screening this year on the show. Why even a baby that is born today in some jurisdictions, and Ghana should be no different. We should be able to identify some very important disease conditions, galacticus and all of that. I mean, remember?
Yes, absolutely.
Galactosemia, sickle cell. So this year we've talked about a lot of different things, bone health,
and not forgetting hirsutism.
Hirsutism
from last week.
From last week, the hair business, and my phone. Look, baby, I had to put it off for a bit.
Really?
Both the men and women were interested in the hair, because it's not something that is esoteric. It's very common. So we've had a lot of conversations. But before we open the phone lines, 7th of April every year is World Health Day. These days, I mean, the health calendar, it goes from 1st January to 31st December. Every day or every week there's something. But 7th April is World Health Day. The WHO and the World Health Assembly set aside that particular date to bring attention to health issues. And this year the theme was my health, my right.
Right.
Healthcare is a right. It's a right, and Kwame, a right you don't beg for a right from anyone. It's something that cannot be alienated. Everybody has a right to good health care at a place where they live. So when you have to move from Western North, come all the way to Accra for health care, somebody's abusing your right. So we are saying quality, affordable health care. It's a right. Climate change. So this year there was a lot about climate. We have a right to breathe good air. So there are places in this world, and I think sometime last year or is it early this year, when the air quality became an issue, even in Accra.
Yes.
When we are burning things we are not supposed to be burning in a certain way, we put a lot of smog in the air. Vehicles, we are burning a lot of fossil fuels through the use of vehicles, and also polluting the air. So we all have a right to breathe good air. Our water bodies, the Galamsey fight. Yeah, baby, and as if it is, we do the politics with it. People look at the color of the River Pra, take satellite images and say it's clear. That is the least of our problems when we talk about health issues with Galamsey and water quality. Because mercury doesn't show color, blue, green, or brown. That when the Pra is dirty and you got mercury in there, it doesn't show any color change. All right. So if you've seen the mercury that rises in the thermometer, the old type thermometer,
right,
doesn't have a color to it. So you've got mercury entering the food chain through water bodies. So there's fish in there, and the water from the Pra and all those other river bodies, they end up in the sea. And then our fishermen go fishing and they catch the fish, and we consume the fish, and then the mercury gets into us. The mercury also goes into the soil. They're using cyanide also as part of the process of extracting the gold. So the health risks, apart from the deforestation and all of that, is why the theme for this year was my health, my right. And we want to draw the attention of all those in authority, politicians, opinion leaders, heads of families, that everybody has a right to good health. Right. So, Kwame, that is World Health Day.
Good stuff.
2024.
You mentioned some salient points, and of course, it will get us thinking individually and collectively. How we can better our health and our practices here in Ghana. Now, let's activate the phone lines now because people have questions. And today, it's an open clinic, so it's about anything at all that is bugging your mind that you'd want the doctor to give clarity to. You can call us on 0302-216-541 or send us a WhatsApp message if you can't call on 055-1111-997. Whatever it is that you have an issue with, the doctor will speak to it, and that's our open clinic for today. I think the first one... Okay, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to put out a statistic that, Kwame, burning of fossil fuels is simultaneously driving up the climate crisis and taking away our right to breathe clean air, with indoor and outdoor pollution claiming a life every 5 seconds.
Wow.
Indoor and outdoor pollution claims a life every 5 seconds, according to the WHO.
That's crazy.
Right. Let's take our first caller.
Hello.
Hello. Lexis.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm Frank. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. What's your name?
I'm Frank.
Frank.
Yes, I'm quite okay.
Okay, Frank, go ahead. We're listening.
Yes. I would like to educate us on pregnancy, diabetes.
Say that again?
Pregnancy
and diabetes.
Pregnancy and diabetes, okay.
If someone is pregnant and the sugar level doesn't go all that high, let's say it's normally between 5.4 and 8, mostly, will it affect the yet to be born baby? Like, you should educate us on what we can do about it.
Okay. All right, Frank.
That's
right. So our first question has to do with pregnancy-induced diabetes.
Right.
So, Kwame, the disease is called diabetes mellitus, and usually you would have type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes mellitus, and then we have what we call pregnancy-induced diabetes, and then you have the others all bunched up into one group. So whenever you have a blood glucose level higher than a certain limit, then you begin to have a whole range of metabolic complications or certain challenges with your health. We have realized that when a woman gets pregnant, or when some women become pregnant, then unfortunately how the control of blood glucose becomes problematic, and they have higher than normal levels of blood glucose. So that is what diabetes is all about. When you have higher than normal levels of blood glucose. So those cutoff points, I'm not going to discuss them on air. It is best that your doctor will set up those limits. For us to make that diagnosis that this thing is pregnancy-induced diabetes, then this patient must not have been diabetic before they became pregnant.
Okay.
And usually it will happen later on in the pregnancy.
Due to what?
Well, when the mechanism is not clear-cut, because even in the non-pregnant ones too, again, we're not so sure. We just know that your production of insulin is limited, and then also the action of insulin. All right, so some people can produce it, but then the insulin doesn't have the same effect. So the response to insulin is what is impaired. And the thing about pregnancy-induced diabetes is that for most people, after the delivery, then the glucose control goes back to normal.
Okay.
After 6 weeks. So
Okay.
6 weeks after, then, or the 40 days after the delivery of the baby, then you realize that their blood glucose levels goes back to their pre-pregnancy levels. However, we don't just end there. We typically will follow them up over a period, because we realize that a lot of them go on 5 years, 10 years down the line to develop type 2 diabetes mellitus.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
But does it affect the baby?
Absolutely, yes. The complications are both maternal and then fetal. One of the complications that, because you always have a lot of glucose, everything that the baby needs is coming from the maternal blood to the placenta. So there's always glucose, high levels of glucose in the mother's blood. So Kwame, a lot of glucose ends up with the baby. So the baby becomes big, something we call fetal macrosomia. Too big, the woman can't push the baby out. The typical baby would weigh between 2.5 kilos and 4.0 kilos at term. All right. Typically, the baby of a pregnant woman would weigh 4 kilos or more. And if she attempts to push out this baby, it's a disaster. And she gets a lot of tears in the perineum. She will bleed a lot, something we call postpartum hemorrhage. And the woman may actually die. So there are quite a number of complications, both maternal and also for the fetus. The incidence of, say, abnormalities, birth abnormalities, in babies born to mothers who have diabetes or pregnancy-induced diabetes is also relatively high.
Okay.
But the beautiful thing is that it can easily be managed during the pregnancy. We do a test for it called the OGTT, and then your doctor would use a variety of measures, dietary and medication, to control it. And then we'll also be checking the baby's weight and make sure that before delivery, we know, when you're about 37 weeks, we know the weight of the baby, and we'll plan an elective cesarean section for you.
Okay. Well, that's some good education there. If you have any questions as well, you can call us on 0302216541 or send us a WhatsApp message on 055-111-1997. If we are sending a message and says, Doctor, please, this thing of people wanting to lose weight and cutting out carbohydrates completely, is it good for the health?
Good question. Kwame, it's a topical issue now. Cutting out carbohydrates completely is not good for your health. Carbohydrates, and there are different forms of it. We've got three main monosaccharides, disaccharides, and then you have the complex carbohydrates, the starches. Carbohydrates form the primary energy currency of your body, or is the primary energy fuel of your body. All right? Your body depends on glucose for energy. So when we all go and fill up, you will tell the attendant, super or diesel. If you have a diesel vehicle and you put petrol in it, you just damage the engine. So everybody should know this. You need carbohydrates for all your cells to function well. you need ATP. And the primary energy currency of your body is carbohydrate. Now, this is the explanation. When people put on weight, what have they deposited? Fat. Where does the fat come from? Well, when you take in too much carbohydrate and you don't need the energy because you come and sit down the way I sit down in the consulting room from 8 till 2, not utilizing the energy, unlike somebody who's at the construction site doing tedious work, or an athlete going on to the gym to exercise or go play a game, then the extra calories you don't use is converted and stored in the fat cells. So fat represents unused energy in very simple terms.
So go and use the energy.
Exactly. So what they are trying to do,
Yeah.
the principle is good. What you're trying to do is that if you deny yourself of carbohydrate, then your body will fall on the second option. Remember I say it's the primary currency.
Yeah.
So Ghana, you say a primary currency and then CD. The CD new
Allah.
you be the dollar.
The dollar.
Aha. Right. So the second option is for you to fall on the fat. So now it begins to recruit the fat that you've stored and burn it. So that is the idea behind this thing that they've been pushing online. They call it the ketogenic diet.
Keto.
No carbohydrate whatsoever, because they are compelling their body to fall on fat deposits and for energy. Kwame, once the second line is gone, for example, fat, then your body will fall on protein as the third source of energy. Do you know the biggest store of protein in your body? Muscle. Right. So you begin to eat up your muscle. And that's why you become lean. So let's take a look at all the refugees in, well, Israel is blocking us from knowing what is happening in Gaza. But all the aid workers are saying that it's skin over bone for a lot of the refugees right now. And we've all seen in war-torn countries how people look. So yes, you go from the fat, then you go to proteins eventually. Kwame, there's one danger people are not aware of, because we forget about the biochemical changes that happen when you don't use your primary currency, energy currency, and then you use fat. You begin to change the pH, the acidity, natural acidity of your body or your blood. Yes, because you produce certain chemical substances, we call them ketone bodies. That is where the ketogenic diet comes from. So the ketone bodies will change the acidity level of your body, your normal acidity, because under normal circumstances, you are not supposed to produce these ketone bodies, except you are doing a lot of fat breakdown. Then when you're doing this fat breakdown too much, or because you are not taking any carbohydrate, the pH will change. When the acidity level changes, a lot of biochemical reactions in your body at the cellular level also change. The level of potassium, sodium in your body will also change. That is not healthy for you. So the biochemistry behind not taking carbohydrate is a big problem a lot of people do not pay attention to.
Okay.
So I would not recommend that.
What would you recommend?
Oh, well, Kwame, you need a bit of carbohydrate. So sitting down with your dietitian and your physician, we will reduce the amount of carbohydrate. We'll look at your lifestyle. Oh, okay. Well, I'm a broadcaster. I sit long periods of time. I'm a software developer. I sit long periods of time. I don't go to the gym. I don't play any sport. We'll take all of that detail and look at your level of physical activity and prescribe the food in correct portions for you. So please, those going crazy about the ketogenic diet, you get the physical results that you need, but you do a lot of biochemical damage to your body.
Okay, thank you so much. This is really some good education, Doc. I'm grateful that you shared. Now, Philip in Kokro Bite says, Lexis and Doc, my wife has chronic back pain, almost always there, sometimes very severe. It started many years ago when she was giving birth to our first child. What do we do, please? We've tried many things.
Kwame, we need an accurate diagnosis, and I'm very sorry she's having back pain. Kwame, I have a bit of back pain myself.
You?
Back pain is not good.
Kwame,
that person be romantic. I'm say madam, so you know. She's very African in Kwame, you face here. You know, so back pain is terrible, but Kwame, we need a diagnosis. Back pain is very complex. All right. So your back travels from your shoulder level all the way to your waist, and there are a number of different reasons why you have back pain. There are muscles and muscle groups at your back. The pain may be coming from there. The pain may be coming from the bones of your spine. The pain may also be coming from some of the joint elements in there as well. You may have slipped a disc. That is why in between the bones of your spine, and therefore pinching on the spinal cord, or you may be pinching on some of the branches of the spinal cord. There are a number of different reasons why you have back pain. Without an accurate diagnosis, a lot of patients go through this, that I have tried everything. No, what you need to get first is an accurate diagnosis. Kwame, eventually we end up with an MRI of your back. And unfortunately, an MRI is it's not within the reach of a lot of people. But you bet me, I mean, 1,800 Ghana cedis is expensive. But at a point, it becomes important. But you need a doctor to take a very detailed history, do a good physical examination. We have quite a number of orthopedic specialists. I'm on doors enough, but you know, Kwadwo Yenchi, you know, orthopedic spine. He's been in this studio before, so they are there. The neurosurgeons, quite a few of them are around as well.
Dr. Hadi Abdel?
Yes, Dodi.
Yeah,
I used to play a lot of football with Abdallah and all of that.
Okay.
So get your family physician, or look, I'll leave the number at the end of the show. I mean, we've got an orthopedic center, you know, at our end. Give me a call. Come, let's sit. Let's examine your wife, because chronic pain is not a pleasant thing to have.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Amma Edwin says, Lexis, today is World Hemophilia Day.
Okay.
Can you tell Dr. Yaw Osafo to do a brief education on that? I know he's well able. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Amma Edwin. Right.
It sounds familiar.
Yes, hemophilia. So, it's
Does it have to do with blood?
I'm a shark. Hey.
You know, because I'm just equating hemoglobin and hemophilia, so I have a feeling it has to do something.
We are shark.
It's the assistant doctor. Assistant doctor.
Okay. Yeah, so hemophilia, in simple terms, the person bleeds and it doesn't stop. Kwame, you and I, we've all got a cut before. We've all got a cut before. And when you get a cut, it bleeds a bit and then it should stop. All right. Traditionally, when we go to the farm, near a champon, that leaf. You know, and then we put it on there.
Do people still use it?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, the family, that's my end. You know, they still use it. But I'm telling you that if you have all the clotting factors that you need to have in your body, just gentle pressure over an average cut should stop the bleeding. Children who have hemophilia tend to bleed with very little provocation, and the bleeding also tend not to stop. Right, and it is all because there's one clotting factor that is absent. So, Kwame, all of us, if you take a look at our blood, we've got what we call clotting factors. There are quite a number of them. Hemophilia is one particular clotting factor or two of them that you don't have, and it becomes a problem. Kwame, it usually comes to attention when the male babies are circumcised. Yes, because that's the first time that we will make a cut.
Yeah.
And we expect that it will stop bleeding. So that is why, unfortunately, when you use the wanzam and you go home and things like that. Then they see the person didn't do it well. The child, I've heard stories where then the child just bleeds and then bleeds to death.
Wow.
You know, that's how bad the bleeding is. So, yes, in summary, that is hemophilia. It's got a very, very rich history of some very important people. The Romanov family, the last Tsar of Russia, that family, the Tsar Nicholas, the son had hemophilia. The only male, the heir to the throne, suffered from hemophilia. So I know that Tsar was cousin to the royal family in England, and then the royal family in Germany, you know, back in the early 20th century. So it's got a very interesting history about it.
I don't know whether to say Happy World Hemophilia Day or sad World Hemophilia Day.
We need to draw attention to it. People should know about it so that we also take certain precautions.
I wish we would take more questions. Lots of them have come in. We need a whole day for this show.
That's
we need to move your consulting room here.
One of the days you have to move the consulting room here.
But since we can't do that now, we'd rather people actually come over to you. So what's your number and how can they reach out to you?
Right. So the team would be ready to take calls on 0501 477 340. On WhatsApp is 0501 477 340. And Kwame, we are on social media. Medicals Hospital is our Facebook page, and at Medicals GH on X and Instagram.
Dr. Yaw Osafo is the CEO of Medicals Hospital, Medina Firestone, Mampong Equiapim, and East Legon Hills.